Coming up in This Week in Poker, we're talking to author, writer, Paul McGuire. The lovely Jess Wellman will be bringing us poker headlines, and we reveal what Lacey Jones wears to bed. Stay tuned. Welcome to This Week in Poker. I am not Chops, and this is episode 13. We have a great show lined up today. We're going to be talking to Dr. Paulie. He's in the studio with us today. We're going to be talking to the lovely Lacey Jones in a little bit. And we have Chops, who's not with us today, is going to be Skyping in. We actually have a little bit of breaking news that we're going to break during This Week in Poker. And we have Jess Wellman with Poker Headlines. We don't have Andy Block.
No Andy Block.
No Andy Block.
He busted out, right?
Yeah, he was playing Event 1 today at the World Series of Poker Europe and busted out, and I think he went to bed.
He did. He tried to stay up like Lacey did for us, but he started nodding off around dinner time.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to him. So Andy will not be here. It gives us more time for
more time for Lacey, right?
More time for Lacey. And before we get to Lacey, I wanted to introduce to everybody, we have a new sponsor for our show that we're excited to tell everyone about. It is Full Tilt's Doubles Poker Championship that airs on GSN TV on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturday of each week is the new episode, and on Sundays are re-airing it. And it's a really neat format. Have you seen it yet?
No, not
yourself?
at all.
It's the 32 of the top pros paid $50,000 each. They pair together.
Right.
And then they play four-handed matches. They
Interesting concept.
Every other street.
So it's a made-for-TV event, essentially.
It's a made-for-TV event. And I'm going to go to a promo clip real quick that will walk us through it.
Pretty cool.
So here's how the game is played. You need $50,000 to walk through the door. Players are then randomly assigned a teammate. They share the same hand. The first teammate will play pre-flop and the turn, while the second teammate plays the flop and the river. Next time around the table, the players switch. Each team is given one timeout to talk strategy. Otherwise, it's just regular no-limit hold'em.
In this format, physical tells become especially important. Two players have to hide the emotions of a hand, not just one.
Okay, enough of me, enough of the promo. We have a good friend of ours, the lovely Lacey Jones, who is Skyping in to us from her hotel in London, and we're about to find out what she's wearing at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hello, Lacey. How are you doing?
Hi, guys.
I feel overdressed.
Yeah, I'm doing the robe thing.
You've been on my monitor for the last 5 or 6 minutes, and it's been quite distracting, in a good way.
Yeah, I always sleep my full tilt patch too, just so you know, at all times.
Well, thank you for staying up for us. I know it's been it was a late night last night. You did the British Poker Awards, I believe.
Yeah, last night it was fun. It was cool because I do know some of the British pros and got to hang out with a lot of the Victory crew, and it was interesting. I think we really need to do more of these poker awards because it's always nice to appreciate the great players and have a lot of fun at the same time.
If there was going to ever be a year where there was a British Open or a British Poker Awards show, it'd be this year, right? I mean, the British players really haven't done much except until really this year, right?
It seems like it. I mean, there's always been like the year for, with the Scandies and everyone else, and then this year it just seems like, especially for like Sam Trickett, has been a fantastic year, and I mean all these other great British pros that are coming out, and James Aikenhead, and it's been fun to watch these guys. They really play well.
Well, Lacey, one of the things I was just introducing to everybody our new sponsor, which is a TV show that you're a host of.
Yes.
And I gave a little choppy version of what the show's about, and we showed the promo. But you were there when they were filming the Doubles Poker Championship at the Golden Nugget. Can you tell us a little bit more about it from your firsthand experience?
Well, I think the best thing about it is these are all pros that people want to watch. There are 32 of the top pros. You've got Ivy, you've got Dwan, you've got all these people that Annette Obstrad, Phil Galfond being paired together, Huck Seed, who, I mean, he just plays fantastically in these kind of shows. And it's just a neat dynamic to see maybe two players that might not even get along in their personal lives get paired up, or even just have different styles, and see how they play and carry out. And the best thing about it, too, is that when you watch, say, High Stakes Poker, or you're watching maybe Poker After Dark, you're not getting to hear like what's inside their head. And when they're not in a hand, they're kind of talking on the side, mic'd up, and saying, okay, I think this is where this guy's at, and they have their timeouts, too, that they can take. And with $1 million for first place that the two get to split, I think that that's also great for TV, and people get to watch players really playing. And it's not just like a TV show that if they win, they win. If not, it doesn't really matter. This is actually playing for money, and it's a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah, what were some of the more interesting pairings that you saw?
Well, it was really funny. I think I mentioned it last time I was on This Week in Poker with Annette Obstrad and with Huck Seed. They have two different styles, and they both think the way they play are right. And so they kind of got into it a little bit. I think you guys saw that. And it was kind of fun to see Annette kind of stand up to Huck, and Huck kind of being like, all right, well, I think I'm still right. But I think it's kind of interesting to see some of these guys play with each other. And once we get into the semifinals that you guys are going to see, it's really interesting because it seemed like the pairs really meshed well together, and they really worked with their strengths and complement each other. So it'll be really fun to watch the semifinals and the finals as well.
And they already played it out, right? It's completely done. We're just waiting for it to be shown on TV.
Yes, exactly. We shot that all in about a week, and we played the semifinals. Once they get to semifinals, the teams stay together, so it's not random again anymore. So it's really interesting to see that change as well while you follow along in the show.
Where are you right now? Are you are you sitting in a chair?
No, that's the bed.
That is the bed.
Is it bed? I thought it was the shower. I thought it was a tiled.
I mean, we're pretty lucky.
I'm surprised.
Just in a robe with a full tilt patch on.
We haven't explained because usually Brian is doing this over in the corner. If you have a question, you can do it in the Ustream chat. Type a Q, then a colon. And I'm surprised I haven't seen a question about what Lacey's wearing underneath the robe yet. But not that that's my question.
I don't think so. But yeah, okay.
And are you in the? You're in London through the World Series of Poker Europe?
No, actually, well, I just got back from Cannes. I was there for the Partouche Poker Tournament, and then I came up here just for the British Poker Wars to hang out with Keith and see some of the Victory guys. And now I'm supposed to go tomorrow back to Paris, and then I'm going to be in Paris for the rest of the month.
Cool. And I haven't checked your Facebook relationship status in a while, but the last time we spoke with you, it had just been updated to that you're in a relationship. Is it still like that?
Yep, it's still like that, okay. And it's still with Keith, so we're going strong and having fun.
And that would be Victory Poker Pro, Keith?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, I've noticed actually there's a lot of videos out there of him with Sarah Underwood and various English or British models. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind. I actually like the girls, and I know when it comes to work, it's just work. And I mean, every guy would love to be in that position. So I'm actually one of the more non-jealous girlfriends out there, so I don't mind those kind of things. As long as he's coming home to me, I'm happy.
So is he there with you right now?
No, actually, he is with Andrew Roble and Dan Fleischman. They're doing a little business.
And we have a couple of questions popping up. One is from David Redondo. Was the drama at Partouche tournament as bad as people report it? Did you hear about that? That there was some collusion between staff and players?
Yeah, I played in it. I played in the main event and the ladies event. Some of the things I saw were a little bit interesting. It was more beneficial to me because I speak French, so I was at the table, I could hear certain things that were going on, and I didn't see it too much, and I could see why someone that would assume maybe there was a lot more going on. But there were some weird things. I saw a dealer call the clock on a player that wasn't French, but would never do that to any of the other French players. There was 2 French players that were showing each other hands that were sitting next to each other, and when people at our table that weren't French were asking to see the hand, they would muck it. The dealers would muck it immediately. But then if the same thing happened to another player, it was automatically shown. It was like weird. I think it was just one of those things that I heard some of the things as well that are just a little weird. And also in the ladies event, they were pretty brutal to me. I mean, I finally got moved from one table, but I did have one girl that didn't know I spoke French, and she said, "Nice hand, bitch." And I was like, really?
Well, what's that in French?
Yeah, how do you say that in French?
How do you say that in French, Lacey?
Said bon main salope, and when she said that, I looked at her. I said salope, and she's like, "Oh, it's just a joke, nice hand, bitch." Haha. And I was like, "Really?" And then the funny thing was, she asked me, she was like, "So where are you from?" And I said, "Texas." I wasn't going to tell her that I'm part French Canadian or anything, because then I just wanted to mess with her head a little bit.
Yeah.
Why does this Texas girl speak French? Now does she know what salope means? But yeah, that's bad. But I mean, it was all right. I mean, I did see some of the things that were going on that, I guess they could be taken either way, but definitely different. But it's a great tournament with that many people that played it, and they have a lot of value. You've got hour and a half levels. The only problem I had, I busted at like 20 minutes before the end of the night. We started at 1, and we were playing until 4 a.m. And just to get down players, they should have just added another day 1, I think. But I mean, I was exhausted with jet lag because I just got in 2 days before, and that was a little tiring. But of course, things happen.
Yeah, and we have an important question from Al Can't Hang, and I already know the answer to this because you've told me personally. But who's your favorite Wicked Chops entity?
Ooh, really? What? You're breaking up. I can't hear you. I can't like you all the same. I mean, I'll have to say Chops because it's his birthday. How about that?
That's true. It is Chop's birthday today.
Wow, how about that?
And you only know that because of Facebook, right?
Of course. I wouldn't even know my mom's birthday is the same, too. I almost forgot. Don't tell her.
That's funny.
But yeah, I always would remember. It just pops up. I am so busy when I'm traveling. You never know what day it is. You're always on like a different schedule.
Right, so you're heading to Paris.
I head to Paris in the morning. I have a casting for my co-host. I got picked to be the hostess for the World Series, redubbed in French.
Very cool.
So Keith likes to joke calling me Norman Chad. So I'm going to be that person. We're just trying to find our co-host. And then I'm just going to be staying in Paris for the next few weeks just to brush up my French and stay there and kind of enjoy it, not have jet lag, fly back, and then come back. It wouldn't make any sense. So
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for staying up late.
No worries. Oh, that's fun.
For wearing a bathrobe during our show.
I gotta do a little bit. I could have been a little bit more risque, but I figured out.
Thank you so much, Lacey.
All right, bye, guys.
All right.
See you, Lacey.
Yeah.
I know.
Excuse me a second.
We could have just stayed on there for a whole hour with This Week in Bathrobes.
Yeah.
But we had to move on.
Can we do that? Can we do that show, This Week in Bathrobes?
We could do.
We could have Lacey come on.
We could do that
every other week.
I'm for it.
Well, she's been on before, and actually, you were on our first show.
I was on the first show.
You were the first guest.
I was the first ever guest on the show, right?
That was back at the Rio.
Right. So basically, every 12 shows you're going to have me on. Is that how it works?
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
As long as
so
you have
1,
something.
13, 25.
Yeah. As long as you have something to talk about, and I think. Okay. I actually looked back at that show. I think we talked about the Ultimate Bet scandal a little bit.
Did we? I don't even remember. That was so long ago.
Actually, I wasn't even there.
That was during the World Series.
We had Gentili on that show, and
yeah.
I remember she talked about her pubic hair.
Yeah,
which was
I can't compete with that.
You can. It was very popular.
Right. I could talk about Gentili's pubic hair.
Yeah,
probably get away with it, but
not. Yeah,
I'm not going to talk. Anyway,
we are. So before we go into talking about your book,
all right,
we are going to go to the lovely Jess with who's wearing a lot less than a bathrobe right now.
Where's Jess's bathrobe?
Jess, how are you doing?
I'm not in a bathrobe. You've got Chops breaking news. Why am I here?
We need you. You are you're the glue for this show.
Oh.
This would not be This Week in Poker without you.
You're the brains.
Aw, thanks, guys.
You're welcome. And you're wearing less than a bathrobe.
Am I? I feel like this isn't that. Not
I don't know. I see a lot more skin.
I see a little Lacey kind of action going on.
Right here.
You're embarrassing.
Where are you,
She's a
Jess?
nice Southern girl.
I am home packing up, though. Next week I will be coming to you from Atlantic City.
Tell me, what do you think of Atlantic City? What is your impression?
I've never been, actually. So this will be my maiden voyage to Borgata, and I can fill you in on my insights when I get there, I guess.
I would just
the Borgata is not really Atlantic City.
Yeah.
You know, like there's Atlantic City and then there's the Borgata.
But my advice with Atlantic City is just feel free to walk around at night, just walk around the streets, stroll.
Hang out the boardwalk.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just,
at 3 in the morning. You know, it's
a people-friendly city.
It really is.
It is. Yeah. Make sure you have a knife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip, guys.
It's okay.
So Jess, what are some of the top stories this week?
It's slowed down a little bit. I guess people are just kind of getting ready to gear up for World Series, but the two big ones are on the legal front, which I think Wicked Chops kind of broke both, if not, I think both of them.
I think so,
were
yes.
first to. You have Jason Newick getting subpoenaed by the Southern District Court of New York.
We do, and we have, just sorry to interrupt you, Chops is going to come on after you because we actually have breaking news about that case.
Ooh.
That we're gonna,
Well, that's good because I don't have much to offer.
that we're gonna talk about.
Perfect.
So
I
and
will
I don't even know the news. We just got a
I
text
think
message.
so he was subpoenaed today, or for today. I think.
Right.
I think
You're supposed to appear today.
Yeah, the testimony was today. So I think the news is relating to what the testimony was.
Gotcha.
So let's move on.
Yeah.
What else?
How about that?
I'll leave that one for Chops. The other legal front, Michael Mizrachi, back in the news for not poker stuff again, being sued by Deliverance Poker. If the name rings a bell, you probably recognize it. It was the patch he wore for pretty much all of the World Series except the last 2 days of the main event when he switched over to Full Tilt. They are saying that they had an agreement with him where he had a piece of the company, $150,000. They're suing him and Tiltware for kind of co-opting and bogarting their star face.
Yeah. I think people were waiting for something to happen here because it just seemed weird that he had that patch on the whole series, then all of a sudden switched. And I think people were saying that also that it's the company, Deliverance, is a family member or a cousin that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you guys have said. It's a cousin of some sort. It seemed like a family thing. He had, I'm sure you guys know better than I do. And then he had the other patches on too, the patio store and the...
I remember Deliverance. I remember Deliverance early on. People were talking about it because he was on the ESPN feature table, and it was a .com patch.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Well,
it's not an online site.
Well, you're not allowed to wear it."
But it was such a bad logo, you couldn't even see what it was. So I don't think ESPN really cared.
Didn't he have Chico's bail bonds too?
Yeah,
something like that.
He did.
No, he had like Jeff said, there was a patio furniture company, and one thing I think that's interesting with this is a U.S. poker site suing another poker site in a court, U.S. court. I mean, we haven't seen that before, right? I mean, because Tiltware is a party to this, which is Full Tilt Poker. It's not just suing Mizrachi, right?
Yeah, it's Mizrachi and it's Tiltware. I think they might have gone after Tiltware versus Pocket Kings or some of the other ones, since Tiltware is the software provider for Full Tilt. That might have some of the reason why legally they went after them versus Full Tilt itself. But I don't know enough about the case to really guess past that point. But you're right that it is something I haven't seen before. Typically, the sites settle these things elsewhere when problems like this arise.
Yeah. And it will actually, and I'm pretty sure it'll be, not to get like all legal here, but back in the day I used to be a lawyer, and I think, but I think the claim is like tortious interference, which they would have to show that that Full Tilt is trying to basically shut down Deliverance by stealing away Mizrachi. So, which actually maybe, but they would have to show that it was like that was their intent to steal away Mizrachi was.
It's impossible to prove that.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
I
difficult.
think in this case it would be.
Okay. Well, you're the lawyer.
Yeah.
You know.
So what else?
To give you the little tournament rundown from what's been going on in Europe, you had Sam Trickett, like Lacey said, continuing his good year with a win in the Party Poker World Open. It's an invite only, think like Poker After Darkish, made for TV tournament, but they've been generating some interesting final tables, some interesting results. So you had him beating Yevgeny Timoshenko heads up for 200 grand, I think was the first place there. The other one, and I think this is a testament to how web streaming can really make a tournament a lot more important than it would be otherwise, is this English Poker Open. Got like 193 players, 3,500 pound buy-in, but everybody seemed to be talking about it. And then you had a bunch of people like Phil Locke and Liv Boeree making deep runs, and in almost WPT-ish fashion, had them all flame out before the final table. And the big names are Fabian Quas and Felipe Ramos.
Babu.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Felipe
and
Ramos.
of course, the World Series of Poker Europe started today. I feel like we all kind of forgot about it with the time change, or since it's a smaller event, but they had a sellout event today. 6-handed, 2,500 buy-in.
Yeah, I think I saw it was like 244 players, right?
And they maxed out at 204 because it's not a big casino where this is being hosted, but they seated alternates until the last possible minute. Supposedly everyone who wanted to play got to play, and it's got a nice little prize pool. And with around 50 people left, you still got some great names. Jeff Lissandro, Chris Moorman, who is a British player that's had amazing results online and just hasn't translated with a live win yet. Not to mention Phil Ivey, Liv Boeree, and Chris Bjorn, who I guess just cashes in every other World Series of Poker Europe event.
Yeah, and this is I think today was a new event, and there's another new event, right, this year?
Heads Up they're doing for the first time this year, I believe. And that one, you're not going to see as big. If they get all 64, it'll be surprising. It's a 10,000 pound buy-in event, so not sure how many people are going to be able to fork over that kind of money.
Yeah. And you get to go to Atlantic City and not London.
And I'm going to Atlantic City with the lovely WPT team, so it's not that bad. But yes, I would like to be in London.
You're with the best tournament reporting team out there.
Have we trademarked that yet?
I think so, yeah.
You should. Before we snatch it up and start using it, I would think that, hey, Jeff, get on this stick. But yeah, Atlantic City, here I come.
Any other news out there?
Stars is cleaning house a little. I guess it's probably timing-wise about the time that their contracts expired, but they have dropped Gavin Griffin, they've dropped Havad Khan, and most interestingly, they've dropped World Series of Poker main event winner Peter Eastgate. Makes sense since he had that blog saying he doesn't want to play poker anymore, but considering so much of their marketing these past few years has been how many main event champs they've had, surprising that they let him go without much fanfare. Yeah.
Do you think we'll see some more players being dropped from PokerStars, or?
I think so. The U.S. brand of PokerStars, that team, they very purposefully kept it to be this very elite group of people. Barry, Daniel, Jason Mercier, and some of the others eventually have been kind of demoted or dropped, like November Niners that they've picked up. They have this business. It seems like Stars has a bajillion pros. It's because they're in different countries. They appeal to emerging markets. That Team PokerStars USA, you're going to see them continue to kind of filter it down and keep it current with the very best and biggest names in the game.
So if you were running PokerStars, who would you drop right now?
Who would I drop? Oh, that's terrible. I think they've pared down
answer. That's the best part.
US about as much as they can.
Or how about
Tom
this?
McAvoy, arguably, I would say.
Who would you sign?
Kev Matt says
Tom McAvoy.
But Jess, who would you sign actually?
Who would I sign?
Yeah. Add to the online poker team or something,
Live.
If it weren't for the fact that he was at one point banned from the site, I would say Justin Bonomo.
Okay.
I know that you're walking a fine line there to go. It's one thing to unban a guy, to go from banning him to your site to having him endorse it in tournaments around the world might be a little excessive, but he's one of those unsigned ones I think someone ought to pick up sooner rather than later.
Cool, fair enough. All right, and Jess, what's the last thing you baked?
I haven't baked. I was just telling actually Elaine, the other poker media baker, we haven't baked in a long time. I need an
If by
event to
baked you
happen.
mean making actual goods in your oven.
Yeah.
Yes, not baked in the Tim
Right.
Turn sense.
With you asking that question, I was
Well, I
wondering.
had
So-
to, had to
Oh, I
clarify.
made muffins for the detox series.
Really?
I made banana nut muffins
Okay.
and chocolate chip muffins.
Nice.
Well, maybe we could, in a future episode, we could get you and Elaine to do a
Bake-off.
do the
Bake-off
headlines
of that.
together from the kitchen and kind of do like a bake-off thing.
I love this idea. I hope you're not kidding.
I'm kind of not kidding.
Good. I'm going to run it by her.
Okay,
As soon as
sweet.
the show's over, call her up and we'll have our bake-off on air.
Perfect.
Sweet.
And I promise you, your Skull Candy, FMJ, iPhone, earbuds are in the mail.
I hope they get here before my flight, but if not,
When's your
then
flight?
Thursday, taking the red eye.
Let me check. Because when I say in the mail, it means I'm going to go put it in FedEx
I don't
tomorrow
say
so that you have
they're
it.
not in the mail, are they? That's all right. I'll have a nice gift waiting for me when I get back.
No,
It'll be
you'll
fun.
have them in AC.
Wow, you can
Sounds
send
good.
TC. Send her the Borgata.
For Jess, yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
of course.
Absolutely. One Borgata away.
Jess, be safe in Atlantic City. Take a self-defense course before you go, or carry a gun or knife.
Pack that knife.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Maybe I won't pack that knife. I'll find a knife when I get there.
Yeah, just ask for Fat Tony. He'll hook you up.
All right. Have fun, guys.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
Bye.
So
Wow,
we,
Jess.
What do you think of Atlantic City?
Atlantic City, I love Atlantic City.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's where I first cut my teeth playing poker.
That's right, because you're
the Taj.
from.
I'm from New York City. I grew up
Yeah.
in New York City. So one of my first earliest memories was being in a casino in Atlantic City, and the security guard.
Taj Mahal, probably, right?
Probably, and the security guard yelling at my dad, say you can't have your kids in there. So it's weird today when I go to Vegas and I see actual kids walking around the Bellagio
Right.
and stuff like that. I think it's a little strange, So
Yeah.
kids should not be in gambling halls. That's just how I feel about it.
Yep.
So,
Are we going to get chops?
They were going to be
Yeah.
dialing chops. I disagree
Really?
though, because
You think kids? Well, you have kids, so
I have
whatever.
I have a 4-year-old, and I'm trying to
Right.
teach him that.
Gambling's bad. So
No,
you
that
wanna
Vegas
just-
is like Disneyland.
It's Disneyland for adults.
He did, yeah.
Kids have a Disneyland. It's called Disneyland.
He actually asked. We were
Adults
walking.
have Disneyland. It's called Las Vegas.
We were walking by the slot
You know,
machines,
Right.
and he's 4, and he goes,
Okay.
"Can I go in there?" And I said, "No, not yet." And he goes, "Well, when?" And he said, "Can I go there tomorrow?" And I said, "No, not until you're, not for 17 years." And he's like, "Oh, Dad."
Wow. Now
Actually,
he's going to want to do it though.
We almost.
Because you said it's a taboo. He's going to want to do it now every day.
You know what
of his
happened was a
life.
couple years ago when he was like 2 years old, I brought him up to a slot machine at the Wynn, and a security guy came up and said that was like a $5,000 fine
Really?
for doing so.
Bringing babies up to a slot machine.
Yeah.
Is a $5,000 fine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we have chops.
Chops.
We have chops from. There you go. Chops.
Happy birthday, Chops.
Happy birthday,
Thank
dude.
you.
Chops, should we talk about your back at all?
Yeah. Do you have any good painkillers? That
I have awesome painkillers.
Vicodin,
Love my
Percocet,
pain-
oxycodone. What do you got?
Got some Soma,
Soma. That's not a painkiller. That's a muscle relaxer.
but it's really, really good. And something new called Ziptor, or something like Ziptor.
So, Chops, you
it's-
were mountain climbing, right? Out at Red Rock?
I was actually playing rugby. Playing rugby with I don't
He
know.
doped up there.
Yeah. Because I'm hard like that. I'm a badass.
So
And
he was
it was
playing
just
rugby while climbing
it was a
the
bad
mountain?
tackle, and I made a touchdown, and but unfortunately I fucked up my back really bad on that play, that fateful play.
This is pretty awesome. You're going to break some news here, completely doped up on muscle relaxers. So
Yes.
My hero.
what's the news?
Yeah, I'll probably grossly mess this up as I am barely lucid right now. But about an hour ago, we got word that regarding J.D. Newitt's subpoena. Originally, this was actually part of the rumor that I heard, but couldn't confirm it with a second source, and looks like I've got a second source now. So while the nature of the subpoena itself was fairly broad, at least the intention of the DOJ on it was regarding uncoded transactions to or by Full Tilt. right after the UIGAE was enacted, like let's say within a week or two after it was enacted. So basically, you need to code your transactions at something like flowers or gifts, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And it was miscoded as opposed to being uncoded, which most of the transactions are. And that's a big no-no. It's something that could be an issue if this turns out to be true. Now, why JD would have any knowledge to this whatsoever, he's long gone from Tilt, is beyond me. From everything that we know, this is not something that has ever happened prior to at Tilt, and probably is something that will never happen again, but appears that it might have actually happened briefly, and that is really, I guess, the main cause for why they brought him in.
Interesting. And no word of them bringing anybody else in at this point?
No word of them bringing anybody else in. With JD's lawsuit out there, he's a figure that they feel like they've got probable cause to bring in, but nobody else as of this time. But we're going to put in a couple of calls to some people to find out if there was anybody else that did make it in that we're just not aware of yet.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Definitely, from, just keeping it in perspective, definitely not something that would fall in the realm of good for poker. Yeah. Because I don't think JD would have any knowledge of anything that had to do with uncoded transactions or miscoded transactions. Can't really say it's, bad for poker in the sense that he just wouldn't know, and there's, no bad info that he could give regarding, this particular incident. But, definitely something that you wouldn't want to see happen for our friends at Full Tilt.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have these lawsuits, with JDN, and you had Clooney Gowan back in the day. You have Deliverance now, and then you have this kind of stuff. Obviously, Full Tilt Poker can't be too happy about that.
You wouldn't think so, but they've weathered some storms. So a lot of this has come up. It's continued to come up. They've faced more lawsuits than feels like all the other sites combined, and it seems to keep rolling off of them. So we'll see what, like I said, JDN's probably not the right guy to really be talking or testifying about anything like this. So my gut is that if they are talking about miscoded transactions, he doesn't know anything about it. Yeah. Probably nothing will come out of it. But they still got him in court, and they still got him to talk.
Do you know, what was JDN's role at Full Tilt? I know he did some, the players liaison.
Yeah, he definitely helped get players, into tournaments and take care of, I guess you would say, just as a player liaison or like a player management guy there, taking care of them. But that's about the extent of his role.
Yeah.
He did deals for players.
Yeah. And he forwarded emails.
Yeah, he forwarded one unfortunate email that, not that I expect JDN to have a big, obituary one day, but if he did, that would probably be a line in it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, interesting stuff. I'm sure we'll be doing a post on that shortly on Wicked Chops Poker, and hopefully
we'll update that post.
Yeah. Well, great. We're going to talk to Paulie now about his new book, Las Vegas.
Chops, you going to stay around with us?
Oh, I'll stick around for this.
Really? Cool. All right.
Wonderful.
Paulie's actually, Chops is probably the one person who can say that he's read, all the words in the book.
Right. Well, there's no pictures in the book, so I'm surprised you guys actually.
Which was an issue, Paulie. Paulie, why were there no pictures? It would have.
Because I self-published, and it would have cost me extra to put color photos in it, probably. I don't know. No, I'm a writer. I'm not a photographer, so I think that's the basic reason. That's why there's no photos. I'm a writer.
That's why there's Flip Chip.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well, you could go to his website. Go to Las Vegas if you want to look at Flip Chip photos. If you want to read about Las Vegas, you pick up the book.
For those, I know, I can see in the chat, area, a lot of these people are your friends, but there's, obviously for those who are not familiar with what the book is about, just more or less set it up for us. It goes back to the 2005 World Series of Poker.
Yeah, it's a memoir, sort of, going all the way back to the 2005 World Series of Poker, when I got hired to cover the first World Series for me. That was just right after the poker boom, and the book covers 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, and my adventures in Las Vegas during those years.
I started reading it. I have not read the book.
See, this is why you have to do interviews with people who've read the book.
But our first year was 2000.
It was 2005. Yeah.
2005.
So you guys were in the book. You would have, if you read it.
I saw that.
Okay.
Thank you for the
nice
credits.
things.
Yes.
Right. Well, yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, you're hipsters then.
But
now you guys are like.
But when did you actually start your blog?
Tower Poker I started in 2003, and probably around 2004 I started to get a little. You know, it started to get traffic. People started picking up on it, and based on the blog, I started getting offers to write in the poker industry.
Right, and so when Flip Chip, when they approached you to come out to Vegas,
in the spring of 2005, I went to Las Vegas to cover. I just went there to gamble on March Madness, and I met with the poker prof in Flip Chip and from Las Vegas, Vegas.com, and they hired me to cover the World Series with them. And through that assignment, I got picked up by Poker Player newspaper and Fox Sports, and then pretty much my freelance career just rocketed after that.
A question.
Yes.
From a viewer, from our good friend Michelle Lewis.
Oh wow, Michelle.
Is there anything you wish you had added to the book?
Added to the book?
When we know, and we talked about this.
I mean, I cut out probably over 200,000 words.
Right.
It came in over 300,000, and it was this behemoth, you know, sort of manuscript. So I cut a lot out. But probably one thing, the Playboy Mansion story. I got to go to the Playboy Mansion. I think it was in 2006.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was because it was such an epic night. So I had to cut that out of the book because it really didn't really pertain to Vegas. So that got cut.
Yeah.
But,
actually, one story that did make it was the coke sniffing
ninjas at the Tao party, right?
Yeah.
Now you guys hired the ninjas.
Yes.
Did you guys know they were coke heads before?
We didn't.
We did not.
Okay. You guys don't know. At the best party, all right, every year all the online sites try to outdo themselves by throwing the best party. And this was kind of the height of just before the UIGA. So everyone's just throwing money. So that year, Bodog had the best party.
Yeah, and I would say like 2006 was by far the best year.
Right, because everyone came in. There was so much money. I mean, money was falling from the trees. You just walk down the hallway, you pick up $100 bills. I mean, it was ridiculous. Like,
hey, Brian, wasn't that the year that you karaoke'd Man in Motion?
I believe so. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So the party at Tao that Bodog threw was pretty crazy.
It was.
And you had all these half-naked women running around in bathtubs.
Some of them weren't running around. They were just laying in bathtubs.
Yeah, laying in bathtubs and like bathing themselves. And I mean, wow, that's where your rate goes, by the way. It goes to pay for models to sit in bathtubs in rose petals and just whatever. Anyway, and then they had these ninjas, okay? Legitimate ninjas, but they were midgets. Okay, and I caught them doing coke in the bathroom. So whoever hired the ninjas didn't know they were a bunch of coke fiends.
Yeah.
So,
Paulie.
Yes.
Quick aside. We used to write bogus trip reports.
You did?
That were absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
And 5% true.
Right.
And we actually wrote about doing coke with the ninjas in the bathroom. So it's funny that they were actually doing coke in the bathroom.
Yeah, actually, Chops, I think you actually had mentioned that you did coke off a midget's ass in the bathroom.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Wow.
But I did. I have a fear of ninjas. I have a fear.
Even worse, midgets.
Is that even the correct proper term?
No, I've got a fear of ninjas, and my wife, fiance at the time, first wife and first fiance at the time, actually got all of the ninjas to come up to me to kind of screw with me, and they started tapping on my shin, and I looked down, and these little midget ninjas are tapping on my shin, going hi-ya, 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 doing all these little things that absolutely freaked me out.
Right.
It's a good time.
Nice. It was a great party.
You know, we were talking with Jess earlier about PokerStars dropping some pros.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was reading your book, and I did read it.
Okay. No, I'm just giving you guys shit.
Yeah. You talked about Will Wheaton.
Right.
And I was actually thinking, like, back then, when you went to the PokerStars site, like, you had, Greg Raymer, Chris Moneymaker, and Will Wheaton was one of those guys.
Right.
It was like one of their big time pros.
Right.
And he was there in, I guess,
06.
2005 and
05, 06, yeah.
And then he somewhat disappeared. Like, have you talked to him recently? I know he has like a gazillion Twitter followers now.
Right. Yeah, he just doesn't play his poker as much as he used to.
Really?
You know, yeah. He's on to other things.
What is he doing?
He's just picking up he's doing a lot more acting.
Okay.
A lot of writing. So, and at the time, it's like, you know, if you go back to 05, everyone was into poker then. You know, and that's what you did. I mean, you just went home and you played poker after work. So, and a lot of people get into poker and then they get out of it. Some people go broke. Some people just get bored with it.
Yeah.
And Will's a gamer, so, you know, he loves video games. So you take that aspect of it, and then once you get that whole, you want to get better at something, and then you get good at it, and then you kind of lose interest.
Yeah.
So I think it's as much that as anything else.
I think that's an interesting thing, like going back, you know, to 2005,
right?
And reading the book, and then all the different like characters that kind of come and go, whether it's Poker Media or Poker Pros.
Right.
It really kind of like
who's the hot, you know, chick du jour? Who's
totally
the big,
like some of these people just come and go, like you know, or even like who are some of the people that you remember that kind of
fizzled out?
Yeah.
I mean, media or like
anything. Like I think Oliver's one.
Oliver Say.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss.
He was missing from this last.
You know.
Yeah, like he
disappeared.
disappeared.
The year before, he was like sleeping in the hallway.
Right. Oliver, yeah, he went from Poker Media to be an agent to kind of, you know. But yeah, I miss Oliver.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, he was an encyclopedia. Like before Kevin Mathers, there was Oliver Say. You know, and I know Kevin Mathers.
Sorry, Kevin.
Say that. But I mean, Oliver Say was like a robot.
We do not share the opinions of our guest.
Yeah.
You know.
Somebody up there is asking what happened to Vinny Vin, and I think
Vinny Vin. If you read the book, you'll find out.
I think that's a great thing about the book is that, you know, and we've talked before about this, and kind of like what we try to cover with Wicked Chops Poker and what you try to do with Tao of Poker is, you know, like there's a certain, you know, when people watch it on ESPN, the World Series of Poker, they get a certain vibe for what the the World Series of Poker is like.
Right.
They don't really see kind of what happens, day in, day out. Kind of the seedy aspect. It's stuff that ESPN won't cover, like Eskimo Clark,
pass out,
collapsing
himself. Right. They're not going to cover that.
And I think the Vinny Vin story is similar and really.
We're in there taking
photos. Right.
But I mean, I think like that's what your book really kind of shows is like it's almost everything that you don't see on ESPN.
Right. Well, here's the thing: is poker is this huge thing, this huge entity, and people at home get to view it through different filters. And one of those filters is ESPN. Another filter is you opening up Poker Stars and playing online, or you just going down to the casino to play. Or reading about through blogs or what traditional poker media. So there's all these little different filters that, obviously, we call it a filter because some of the stuff gets filtered out.
Yeah.
So hopefully this was the stuff that, Las Vegas or even Tao of Poker. That's the stuff that I could write. Or it's everything else that There's only a few things. There's poker media is kind of, God. All right. I'm getting a little hot under the collar here about it, but there's certain things you can't write about. So I try to write what I can on my site because I have no one controlling me there, so I can just I call the shots.
Right.
So I really wanted to just encapsulate the last few years in a book. And
were you worried at all about burning any bridges, moving forward as far as revealing certain stories that?
But it's nothing I haven't said probably on Tao or that I wouldn't say to people's faces. I mean, that's a thing. So that answer is no. If people are pissed about something I wrote in the book, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Don't act like an asshole. If you think, it's like, how can you make me look like an asshole?
Yeah.
Don't act like an asshole.
Speaking of, like, you write a lot about, like, Dan Mahosky. And you write a lot about your friends.
Yeah.
And,
my friends inspire me.
Yeah.
Right. So.
But did they see any of this before it was published? Like, did you get approval? Because some of this stuff, like, if I'm Otis.
No way. You don't get.
But
approval.
if I'm like Otis and I'm, he's married, he has kids. But like,
I'll tell you, that was probably the hardest decision I had to make was that story.
Yeah.
But you'll read about it. But no, sometimes you gotta. That's the tough part, and I think that is one of the things that my friends they accept about me is they know that I'm going to record at some point the things that they do, and if it's not going to be written about directly, it'll probably be used at some point in a character in a fiction piece sometime down the line.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure they're conscious of that, and they try to act on their best behavior around me. But at the same time, too, you get to make them famous.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's take a 2-second break.
Okay.
To show people the cover again, and tell people how they can buy the book.
Go to lostvegasbook.com. LOST Vegasbook.com.
That's the best way to buy it.
Yeah, or you just go to my blog, Tao Poker, and there's a little link. Just click on the link to buy.
Perfect. Now back to you. I
no, it's cool. I really appreciate that. Thanks for plugging it, though. By the way, so I know you guys put together a new band. You guys have an emo band. You invited me to try out as a guitar player.
Yeah. We do.
But I cut my hair and I don't have a dress shirt.
No, and that's why.
I'm a little upset. I'm a little upset about that.
I just did the hair wave. That was for our new sponsor, who we haven't introduced yet. It's Pert.
Okay.
Shampoo. But the real reason why we have you here is we get shit every week about our hair.
Okay. And I don't have hair.
That's why you're here.
Right.
We need to kind of diversify our look a little bit.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So we kind of need.
Right. So I'm glad I showed up wearing just a T-shirt and no hair.
I did. Colin and we came from church earlier, so we had our dress shirts.
Interesting church. All right. So you got any other questions? Let's field some questions from our studio audience or whatever's out there.
Somebody's asking about your T-shirt. There's been a lot of talk about that.
Really, the T-shirt?
That's
Can you see this?
That's your hockey team?
The Whalers?
Yeah.
I'm actually a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
But the Whalers, this is kind of an inside joke for some friends of mine that are friends that like the band Fish.
Okay. Speaking of Fish,
yeah.
That's besides poker, that's pretty much what you do. You travel around to Fish concerts, right?
Right. I'm a fan.
Who do you think, where are the bigger freaks, at Fish concerts or the World Series of Poker?
It's a different kind of freak.
Yeah. Who would you rather hang out with?
Oh, probably Fish people. Yeah. I hate to say that, but
that's hard because you have some really good friends
in poker. Yeah, I have some good friends in poker. But as a whole, I don't know. I just think here's the thing: is music, and this is what Bob Marley said. Music brings people together, and so many things in our culture try to rip people apart. And poker, by nature, it's cannibalistic. It's about people trying to tear each other's throats out to win money. So based on that, the entire culture, poker culture, is it's aggressive. It's all about trying to win. So it's kind of the antithesis in that music scene. So that's what's kind of good about it. It's all about community. It's about friendships versus that's why everything in poker. It's really tough to have close friendships in poker because either you got to borrow money from people and they get pissed off, or you're trying,
But at the same time,
it's
and you talk about in your book, but like the Charlie Tuttle story.
Right.
I mean, that's a great example of poker players reaching out and supporting somebody. And
and that's the thing is whenever I do see something amazing in poker, it sticks out.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people in poker with big hearts and that do a lot of charitable stuff.
Yeah.
So, but
here's a handful of questions coming in. When is your Fish book?
Fish book will come out probably.
Are you writing one?
Yeah, I'm writing one. I'm writing one right now. Kind of thing. I don't know. It's a good
Speaking
question.
of things you're doing right now, you're actually covering a online poker.
Yeah, that's why I keep looking at my laptop.
You're actually working as you do an interview.
I mean, I have to multitask, kind of thing. So, I don't know. I'd say 2014, 2015. I hate to say it, throw it out that far, but I just have other stuff coming out. I have a novel coming out next year, and I want to write that's my first novel. Jack Tripper Stole My Dog. Right. It'll be out next spring sometime. And then I'm writing an LA novel. So I'm kind of juggling a lot of things. But the Fish stuff it's kind of like Las Vegas. I can write it as it's happening. So at some point I'll sit down and just kind of edit it all together.
Yeah, how much of the book did you just like copy and paste from Tao Poker, or did you?
All of it. No.
No, but I mean, like you cover, like what you covered during the World Series of Poker reads.
Oh,
like
it's an amazing guide. Let's put it that way. So, I mean, a good percentage of it. So, and a lot of stuff I had to write and rewrite. So, fill in the blanks. And here's the thing: is it's tough. Writing a book's not easy, especially when you have to have a narrative. And that's the thing about a book. So the hard part was trying to make the narrative work, and that's the testament to my editors that really helped me out. So Jeremiah and Dr. Ken really did a great job helping me edit this.
Yeah.
So.
Good question from Kev Math.
Uh-oh.
How much longer do you think you'll cover the WSOP?
as long as they'll have me. Yeah. I mean, I haven't pissed off too many people at WSOP, so they keep approving my badge.
Right.
But even if they don't, I'll just stand in the stands, and I think I probably, with these bullshit media rules, I could probably do a better job without a badge. Because then I could say whatever the fuck I want, without any worry about losing my badge.
Yeah.
I probably agree. I'll probably write better stuff, get better stories.
I mean, do you like you've been there since 2005? That was the year where they played at the Rio, but the final table was at Binion's.
Yeah, that was my favorite World Series.
Yeah, and each year we see it become more and more commercial. I mean, obviously with Harrah's buying it, it gets bigger and bigger, and you have Jack Link's beef jerky and Red Bull and all that. I mean, do you like where it's going? I would think that based on what you write about, that you like kind of the underbelly, the seediness of the scene, but also from a long-term perspective, it's good that it's becoming more commercial and more mainstream.
Yeah, it's good and bad, because when we joke a lot about what's good for poker, because it's like, well, we're going to make money.
Yeah.
That's really what's good for poker, right? It's this huge money gravy train. It's $1 billion industry. So, whatever's good for poker, it means it keeps the wheels greased, keeps it in motion, So in that regard, it's pretty cool, because if it weren't for poker, I mean, would you guys be here? Probably not. I mean, I know. I mean, it might sound like I'm down on poker, but I mean, I love it.
Right.
Without poker, I'd probably be sitting in a boiler room somewhere trying to get idiots like yourself to buy some dipshit pharmaceutical stop so I could, pump and dump some sort of nice little Ponzi scheme.
Couple more questions.
All right.
Do you have any regrets from walking away from the ESPN gig?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because I would have run into some sort of problem at some point down the line. So, but yeah. But at some point, if that's
it's always
available,
better. You did Poker News.
Right.
It's always better.
Well,
doing
no,
it.
yeah. I mean, I could write vanilla stuff. That's not a problem. Kind of thing. So I just knew that at some point I was going to get in trouble with them. So it was just better that we just got, we broke up before we even started the relationship, kind of thing. So, but I have a lot of respect for Andrew Feldman. So I'm really fortunate he thought about me at the time.
In that role.
Yeah.
Jess had a question.
All right.
What? Where is it? What changes would you make in the media?
To the media rules. Oof, that's a good question. Exclusive media is kind of bullshit, but I understand that there's too many media out there, media reps, that you kind of need some sort of structure to kind of, otherwise you have 1,000 people on the floor of the main event. So it's tough.
So probably Asian Spall will probably have media credentials next year.
Probably so.
I was trying to think back why 2005 was a big year for media, and I think that was pretty much the first year that they really allowed poker bloggers, or they welcomed them.
They gave anyone a badge.
Yeah.
They gave me a badge, right?
Except for...
So they give you guys a badge.
Except for, I think it was Pocket Fives was...
They had one badge, and they had to keep swapping out.
And then they got busted.
In trouble. Right.
So they sat in the hallway.
Yeah, that got cut from the book. So, but yeah. Probably that. Exclusive stuff, but I understand it's,
One story you probably spent more time on than I expected, or, was the Tiffany Michelle story. Looking back, I think Jamie Gold, if I look back to between 2005, 2008, I think the Jamie Gold story is probably one of the bigger stories, more salacious kind of stories.
You mean him getting sued?
Yeah, him getting sued, and just kind of the build up to it, eventually getting sued. But and I guess a lot of that didn't really happen in Vegas, but you spent a lot of time talking about the Tiffany Michelle story.
Right. I gave a chapter.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think that was such a, what do you think how telling is that to what is happening at the World Series of Poker?
I mean, I don't know if the Tiffany story, it's not a story that hasn't been told before.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in LA. It happens in Hollywood all the time.
Right.
So it's a story that actually people can identify. It just, in that instance, the interchangeable parts were Tiffany and Tony G, or Tiffany and the online poker sites. Because, she was like a rag doll that everyone was just trying to get at to use to promote poker.
Yeah.
And at the time, I mean, it's hard. I mean, at the time, everything's happening at once, and it's kind of, and it was a great, the main reason I used it, it was a great, you had the ultimate bet scandal breaking at that time.
Yeah.
You had online poker sites competing for domination, and it wasn't about Tiffany per se. It was going to be her at potentially the final table, and everyone would want to be associated with, if she made it big, and that's good promotion for whoever it was, if it was UB or Full Tilt or Poker Stars, and at the same time too, it was close to home because Tiffany, worked with us in the media, and I worked with her, and so.
And it kind of, what that does is
and I worked for Poker News too at the time.
Yeah, you did.
And that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
So and I got a lot of background information. A lot of people didn't, just because I happened to know a lot of different principles between the agents and the online sites. And
I think that gives you a good inside look at what's happening at the World Series of Poker when you get down to like the final 50 players or so. That you're not going to see that on ESPN, but just the agents everywhere and the deals that they're trying to get people to sign, and how even as a player, I remember Tiffany back then, like how distracting it was to even focus on.
I'm surprised she went as far as she did with that, So, but yeah, it was as I said, it was more than just they just wanted to talk about Tiffany and Tony G, kind of thing. It was a story that that was most of the stories I picked out in here. It wasn't just to tell that story. If you could really kind of read into it, there was other things I'm trying to say beyond that. So, kind of, secondary, tertiary stories. And at the same time, too, it's the book is sort of an existential journey for myself. So within these, people that I know, that I see, I'm answering my own questions.
Yeah.
Like
Did
that?
Barry Paskin make the book?
Who?
Barry Paskin.
No. Who the hell is he?
The Chops, it was Barry Paskin, right? The smelly
Barry
Brit?
Paskin was the guy.
Yeah, he did make it. All right, he made it. All right, yeah. The name didn't make the book.
2005.
Okay.
But the story made the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry Paskin, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. Wow, Chops is still with us. He's all doped up. I haven't seen him like this ever.
Somebody's asking, and it's an interesting question, but they're asking if Brandy made it. And so that was somebody that was one of the characters that kind of popped up during the World Series of Poker.
There was a story that it got cut.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, So no Brandy stories in there.
But so when's the book
Yeah.
coming out about the stories that
The real
aren't-
book.
The real book.
The real book. The salacious one that
The
could
book.
potentially get me whacked,
Yeah.
by the Mossad or something like that.
book.
Yeah.
Probably due out 2020, kind of thing. Look, it took 5 years to write this book,
Yeah.
I don't want to spend any more time writing another book about poker for now. I would love to revisit the themes in 10 years. And at the same time, too, I think I will be either completely removed for that or completely untouchable so I can say the things I want to say.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in poker have approached me and said, hey, I would love to talk to you someday if you ever do write that book. So it'll be good because I'll actually have, it just won't be me spreading dirt, it'll be other people telling their versions of stuff. So, that would be really cool if I can get, a lot of the major players involved to kind of spill the beans,
Yeah.
So hopefully that will be, obviously I can write a book about Las Vegas. So hopefully we'll see.
Well, the story.
So in 2020.
2020.
Yeah, the Fish Book 2015, that comes in 2020.
The story, starts with you at the Redneck Riviera.
Right.
Was it the Budget Suites?
The Budget Suites, across the
right by
streets.
Tropicana.
Yeah,
I
from
stayed at the
Wild
Motel
West.
6 there one time.
Right.
Blood on the
Sketched out.
sheets.
Right,
Yeah,
right. It's pretty sketch.
Yeah. What was your experience with Vegas before that? Did you
it was
come
awesome.
there for weekends?
I used to love Vegas before I moved there. And that was the whole point I was trying to say in the book, that Vegas is an amazing place to visit, but it's tough to live in. When you live there, you kind of see, the behind the scenes stuff that you don't get to see.
I know. I was talking to some people recently about that. They're going to Vegas for the weekend,
Right.
and I'm just like, I wish I could somehow reconnect with that, desire of going to Vegas and having fun.
Once or twice a year, I go as a tourist,
Yeah.
and I'll stay in a strip hotel, and I'll just get wasted with my brother or some friends.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when I go to Vegas, it's for work. So it's really weird. And if anyone's ever worked in a resort area, if you ever worked like in Cape Cod or like worked at Disney World, or like if you're a bartender or something like that, you know how much it sucks to be in a place where everyone else is having fun and you have to work. So that's kind of difficult. Right. So I really emphasize, that it's Vegas is tough to live there. So, and I'd rather be there as a tourist, having fun, getting wasted, than having to just, really, no one wants to know what's in the sausage, right?
Yeah.
And it's like living in Vegas was like living in the sausage factory, So I just want to eat the sausages. I don't care what's in there.
I don't know if that came out the way that you wanted to.
Yeah, it did. All right.
So if you put your hand up a cow's ass, does that
smoke
make
some sausages, all right? Kind of thing. So, all right. Anyway, so let's get off sausages. Let's talk about the haircuts.
Somebody else brought that up.
Okay.
I'm really kind of tired of it.
What?
It's ridiculous. Like
the haircuts.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Personally, I love it. I'm glad that we're all in our 30s and 40s and we still have hair.
Right. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Oh wow.
Chops, do you have any questions? I really just want to hear you talk since you're all doped up on muscle relaxers right now.
Yeah, totally. What's your dosage?
Yeah.
How many you take in a day?
Yeah, no, Paulie, one of the things that we talked about last week when we had Huff in studio was specifically about the integrity of the poker media. And do we really have a poker media? Or is it more something that it's just a bunch of people reporting on stuff that online sites pay for? What do you think?
PlayOnPokerStars.com. I'm sorry, what was the question? There is no poker media. We're all shills for everything else. I mean, there's no media, period. How about that? The only media out there is independent media. Any sort of media that you're going to see on your TV, or if you buy, a newspaper or magazine, that is propaganda. There's a difference between media and propaganda. And I think a lot of people don't understand. So I laugh. We laugh. I mean, I'm in the poker propaganda business.
Yeah.
Play Poker Stars.
But I would say just from dealing with the media,
What's your code?
Bonus code, just go to Tower Poker, click on the download Poker Stars link.
But I mean, I would say more so than other industries. I know when we used to do like music PR, you'd pitch for an album review and you get a call from the advertising department, wanting you to advertise.
Exactly.
Poker, though, is a little bit more, like if you look at all the magazines, pretty much all those articles are bought by the poker sites.
Well, poker, it's just blatant.
Yeah.
They don't try to hide it. Like everywhere else in the real mainstream media, they're really good at hiding that, hiding their true affiliations.
Yeah.
So, but that's a whole, we could talk about that on This Week in Conspiracy Theories.
Yeah.
We've got to have you back on the show.
Really?
Because we didn't talk enough. We didn't talk enough
about the book
hookers.
or whatever, or blow.
There's more.
Whatever.
We have to read the book.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll come back for the 25th show. I came on every 12 shows.
Every 12.
So by then, can you read the book? Or at least hire someone
We'll read
to
the
read
book.
it, to tell you about it?
We're going to give away.
I've read the book, damn it. It's a good book, Paulie.
Oh, thank you.
Chops has read it.
I was going to say, I think
Charles,
it should
our
be.
photographer, has read it.
Yeah, I would say it is. If I was giving a review right now, it is like reading The Paper Chase or 1L for a law student. Like if you are a poker player or you're a journalist, out of college getting hired by a poker site or whatever to cover the World Series of Poker, it should be required reading.
Required reading.
Because it really gives you a look at what it's like covering the World Series of Poker.
What it's like to be in poker, you know? So if you want to make sausages, if you want to chill, read the book.
Yeah.
Poker Stars.
Poker Stars. All right. Is there any other questions?
There is a lot more.
But we gotta go.
We have to wrap.
We gotta go.
It's been an hour.
But if you want, we're gonna go off the air, so to speak. But if you have questions, you're still in the chat. Keep asking away. We'll have Paulie respond to them.
Right. And you can go to lostvegasbook.com.
Lostvegasbook.com.
Lost Vegas. Yeah.
And then one more plug.
Okay.
Our sponsor, and I forgot to ask everyone to do this earlier. If everyone that is on Twitter could do me a huge favor, because this is how we thank our sponsors. If you could tweet, and this is going to be a mouthful, if you could tweet, thank you at fulltilt_WSOP space doubles poker championship on at GSN for at TWI_PKR. I'd appreciate it. I'm actually going to tweet that off the Wicked Chops account. You can just retweet it.
You gotta put that in the chat box, bro.
Wow.
I just wanted to see if I could say the whole thing. But seriously, we're gonna end the show. We are gonna close with a 4-minute teaser to this Saturday's match 6 of Doubles Poker Championship. So if you haven't seen the show, you can watch 4-minute teaser to this weekend show. Stick around.
Thank you.
Credit Gavin for admitting he was going to call with the ace high. Not a terrible play, really. We might think that one of the reasons they decided not to fire was that they called the timeout. It would be strange to call a timeout if you had a jack. Maybe you would just bet right there.
Obviously, Schulman and Seidel thought they were vulnerable to a check-raise bluff.
It'd be a risky check-raise bluff because there was nothing about Seidel and Schulman's line that indicated that they would never have a jack.
Moving on here. Mueller decides to complete from the small blind. Ferguson raises it with the ducks. And Mueller's out of position, but you know what? He's going to make this speculative call with 7-5 suited. Part of me thinks he's making that call because it's Phil Galfond's his partner.
There might be something to that.
Wow, what a flop. 4, 3, 4, 2 diamonds out there. It's not a bad flop for a pair of deuces, but it's a great flop if you're Galfond and Mueller.
Hesitant bet from Oppenheim.
6,200 into about 9,000. And Galfond with the gut shot straight flush draw. Plus overs.
A lot of players would just ship it in here.
Mullen.
Well, let's put Phil Galfond in that a lot of players category because he just shipped it.
Really tough spot for Oppenheim and Ferguson.
Timeout.
Opie calls a timeout, and if Opie and Ferguson decide to make this call, they are at risk. Remember, Oppenheim only has 4 points.
I know you're going to fold this, right?
Yes, I'm actually fine either way.
You know, I mean, I really feel like we can take trips out of the equation.
Exactly. And probably,
you know,
probably 3-2, by the way.
And probably a pocket
I'm
pair.
thinking, and a pocket pair, exactly. So we're looking at 2 overs of flush draw,
And
2 overs of straight draw.
It's, you know, what? We have 10 seconds? Huh?
5 seconds left. It's a 30-second.
That might not have been a wise usage of 8 seconds.
I'm fine either way.
Huh?
I'm fine either way. I'm totally fine either way.
I don't even think it's fair to be able to ask Jesus what to do with a hand.
I think it's good. Yeah.
Huh?
No more talking.
Chris's opinion was that he had no opinion.
There are many interesting facets about this hand. Not only might you be up against overs and a flush draw, but you've got to realize that if a 3 falls, it kills your pair of deuces.
Yeah, counterfeiting is a big part of the problem. You can never be in good shape against anything with 2 deuces.
The timeout is over or the hand is over?
No, hands live.
That was 30 seconds? Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it was 22 seconds of talking, and then Nick ascertained that it was 8 seconds of you complaining that your time was almost up. And master of the useless timeout, Opie Oppenheim.
That's an awesome name.
Now remember, Oppenheim also only has 4 points. He needs a win or a second place. He might gamble, and he does gamble. He shoves him in there, and Ferguson endorses the decision.
Oppenheim might have wished he checked the flop with 2 deuces. It's a tough hand to play. I mean, 4-4-3 is as good a board as you get. I guess no board is great for deuces, but if you don't want to bet call on the flop, you have to check the flop. That's a pretty ugly
I
scenario.
think they're bricking it. Me and Greg used all our good luck earlier. Oh, I was just kidding.
Ooh, ace of diamonds on the turn, and Galfond and Mueller have completed their flush. Oppenheim and Ferguson need a deuce or a 4 on the river, or they will be eliminated in 4th place.
Opie always wins these hands.
He doesn't.
This is a foregone conclusion.
The poker after dark, when him and Ivy got it in, and sort of the similar thing. It was
Right, yeah.
And the river's a 9 of diamonds, and Oppenheim and Ferguson are eliminated in 4th place.
Really interesting hand there. I can't blame Oppenheim for his line, but he might now wish he checked it and just turned the deuces into a bluff catcher.
Oppenheim's 4th round outcome is now irrelevant. Ferguson must win.